It's officially time. One of my favorite weeks of the Dynasty offseason, the Pajama Olympics. The Combine is here this week, ladies and gentlemen. Don't pretend like you're not excited, okay? Don't be that guy, who cares about guys running in spandex? Come on, have some fun. But on today's video, I'm going to bring you 10 rookies in the 2024 class that I believe are going to dominate the NFL Combine. Now, if you guys know Bruce Feldman, he is incredible at what he does. He's over at The Athletic. Every year, he makes a freaks list where he talks about some of the best athletes in the upcoming class. And I love what he does. He's an incredible writer, incredible mind in the draft industry. So I thought in his honor, why don't I make a list of certified dogs, guys that I believe will just absolutely jump out of the gym. So in today's video, I'm bringing you my first ever list of certified dogs, and I am projecting players that will dominate the Combine this week. The first player that I believe is a certified dog, that is Malachi Corley, 5'11", 210 out of Western Kentucky. Y'all know the name Malachi Corley by now. If you haven't seen, go check out Steve Smith's podcast where he talks about him and breaks down some of his film. But this is the yak king of the class. This guy dominates after the catch. So good in the open field. He has a ton of running back traits. And the reason why he looks like a running back in the open field is because he actually played running back at Western Kentucky before transitioning to wide receiver. He was kind of recruited there as a running back. In 2022, he led all of college football in yak and in missed tackles forced amongst wide receivers. And in 2023, he was top 10 in both of those categories as well. So I expect him to put on a show at the Combine. This is a very good athlete. According to The Athletic, he clocked in at 23 miles per hour via GPS data. That's very impressive if true. We also have seen an unofficial 4.43 40-yard dash. That's very impressive at 5'11", 210 with 210 pounds on him. I think he can actually go faster than that. Now, when we look at his NFL draft stock, how will it be impacted by the Combine? Well, he's currently projected to be a third-round pick, but it's my belief after he dominates the Combine, he will be locked in as a second-rounder. I'm sorry, guys, if this was your favorite sleeper in the class, he's not going to be a sleeper anymore. Everyone's going to know the name Malachi Corley. All right, my number 2 certified dog of this top 10 list, and it's not in any order, by the way, Isaac Horrendo. Not a lot of you guys know Isaac Horrendo. I released a video a couple weeks ago called Secret Rookies. He was on that list. He is my favorite sleeper running back of the class. If you don't know him, get to know him. 6'1", 225 pounds. He is a senior, and he transferred from Wisconsin. Now, Isaac played with Jonathan Taylor at Wisconsin in 2019. He was a rookie that year. And he was the only running back on the team to clock a higher speed via GPS data on the team than Jonathan Taylor. He was the only one who clocked in a higher speed. You can see what Jonathan Taylor did at the Combine in 2020. You know, obviously he put up a 4.39 40-yard dash, which blew people away with him being at 226, 5'10". That was crazy. I'm not claiming that Isaac's going to test the same as JT or even better, but I'm also saying don't be surprised if he's like up there in the 9s after the RAS scores come out, because he's got some ridiculous physicality. I think he's going to test really, really well. He's got speed, over a 90 PFF run grade this year, over 48% breakaway percentage. He's got that speed. He averaged 6 yards per attempt, a lot of yards after contact as well. So the numbers tell me, like based off of my eyes, I think he'll be somewhere in the 4.45 range of the 40-yard dash. And at 6'1", 225, that's very impressive. Now, when we look at his potential draft stock and how it could be impacted by the Combine, well, I released that Secret Rookies video back on February 15th. Now, you can see a little rise in his NFL mock draft database. I guess it really is ADP. It's average draft position according to mock drafts that are all around, the industry. So he did get a little bump. Did I have a part to play in that? Probably not. I mean, that 5,000 views on that video, it's unlikely I played any part. But if I did, I'm proud to have played a part in that. So he's already rising a little bit. I believe after the Combine, because he currently is projected to be an undrafted free agent, I believe he'll come up to like a 4th, 5th, 6th round projection if he tests well. All right, the number 3 player that I think is a dog, certified dog, Javon Baker, 6'1", 208 pounds, 22 years old. He's a 4-star recruit, transferred from Alabama to UCF before the 2022 season. This year, he put up over 52 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He was on that same video that Isaac Horrendo was on as well, that Secret Rookies video. And this class is full of size, speed athletes. I don't think that Javon Baker, as a size, speed athlete, should be overlooked. This is a dynamic, exciting player in the open field. He's got the speed to stress a secondary vertically. I mean, you cannot put this guy in one-on-one and expect yourself not to be beat over the top. He's got that speed, again, with a nice body at 6'1", 208 pounds. So I have heard, according to GPS data, he clocked in at 21.7 miles per hour. That is higher than Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk, Keon Coleman. I would expect Javon to be in the 4.4 flat, 4.43 range. And right now he's projected to be a 4th-round pick. I would expect him to be in that 3rd-round conversation after the combine. Because again, I just think he's a fantastic athlete. And if it wasn't such a strong draft class, the wide receiver spot, he probably would be a 2nd-round pick. The issue is this class is just so freaking stacked. All right, the 4th certified dog I'm talking about today, that is Javon Sanders at 6'4", 243 pounds. He is 20 years old, and he is a former 5-star recruit who was being recruited as an athlete, not as a tight end. He was being recruited as an athlete. Texas decided with him to transition him to the tight end position. He was the number 1 athlete in his high school recruiting class, and it makes sense because this dude is a monster. 45 receptions, just under 700 yards and 2 touchdowns for a tight end. Those are very impressive numbers. He was 3rd in first downs. He had 0 drops, according to PFF, and he was 6th in yak per reception. Javon has those it traits. He does. He has those it traits that you just can't teach. These are God-given traits. And scouts in the NFL are looking for what you could be, not just what you were at the collegiate level. The type of traits that could lead to a combine standout performance. His game reminds me a lot, and don't cringe when I say this, his game reminds me a lot of Noah Fant, who was coming out of Iowa in 2019. Noah Fant was a great prospect. I know it hasn't worked out well, but he was a great prospect out of Iowa. And look at how well Noah tested. He had a 9.89 RAS score. His speed grade was elite. His agility grade was elite. His explosion grade was elite. Do not be surprised if Javon Sanders goes out and puts up a similar performance as Noah Fant. And when you talk about tight ends, we don't expect them in the 4.4s. That's very rare. But I would say I would expect Sanders somewhere in the 4.5s. Is it 4.55? Is it 4.56? I don't know, but I expect him to be somewhere in there. And I believe when you look at his draft capital, his projections right now, he's going to lock himself into a 2nd-round pick, I don't think he gets into the 1st round, but I think he just solidifies that 2nd-round common knowledge, if you will, as a selection. All right, the 5th player that I think is a dog, Brian Thomas Jr., 6'4", 205 pounds. Y'all know this name by now. Led the FBS in receiving touchdowns with 17. Big, strong, fluid athlete. I would be highly disappointed if he doesn't put up a big combine performance. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying, guys, that if someone performs poorly at the combine, they're off my draft board. That's silly. But based off of what I've seen from my film evaluation, I believe Brian is going to be testing very, very well at the combine. We always talk about his fluidity at his size. That combo, the fluidity and the size combo, is very rare to see. He is making moves in the open field like he's 5'10", 180. But in reality, he's 6'4", 205 pounds. So I believe his shuttle and 3-cone drill should turn heads. And I would be surprised if they don't. Actually, when you think about it, in a way, because we are all obsessed with him as an athlete, if he doesn't perform well at the combine, could there be some, repercussions in the dynasty community? Could we lower our expectations of him? He has a lot to lose this week, in my opinion. Now, we have seen him clocked in at 21.4 miles per hour. This is all according to real analytics, by the way, which is very impressive for his size, 21.4 miles per hour. I think he'll be in the mid 4.4s in the 40-yard dash. And his draft capital, I don't think it really gets impacted, but I do think he solidifies himself as a top 20 pick in the NFL draft. All right, the sixth player that is making my first ever certified dog list. He's getting a lot of hate recently. That is Trey Benson out of Florida State. 6'1", 223. He's coming out as a junior, former 4-star recruit. I am seeing a lot of hate for Trey on the timeline lately. What is going on? I mean, he's still my RB1. Everyone's got their opinions, and I can totally respect that. But I believe if the combine goes the way I think it could, I think he'll be consensus RB1 by the end of the combine. I've consistently said that Trey Benson is a complete running back. Size, speed, burst, short area quickness, strength through contact. He's got the works. He really does, in my opinion. When you look at his speed, again, at 6'1", 223, no player, doesn't matter their size, no player hit 21 miles per hour or greater in a game more times this year than Trey Benson. No player did that. And that's according to Cam Miller of College Football Network, by the way. 3 times he hit over 21 miles per hour at his size. I genuinely think he could be one of the best athletes in this class, period, let alone the RB spot. So if he tests poorly, I will be shocked, and I could see it impacting his draft capital. He reminds me a lot of Javonte Williams. He's bigger. He's faster than Javonte was coming out of North Carolina, but you can see here how Javonte tested back in 2021. I am 100% projecting Benson to be in the 9+ RAS score category. I think he'll have a better 40-yard dash, and I think his height and weight will put that composite size grade up as well, according to RAS's database. Now, when you look at his NFL, projected draft capital, I don't really think it's going to change. At the moment, he's projected to be a second-round pick. I think this will solidify that, but I don't see any running back going in the first round this year, in my personal opinion. All right, at 7, I've actually cheated here. I have 2 names, and I'm going to combine them together a little bit here, okay? Troy Franklin and Xavier Worthy. I do not think they are the same player at all, but I do think there are some similarities to their profiles. Top tier speed, lanky frames, yak threats, body catching at times, on the edge of first round NFL draft compensation, right? Let's compare them even deeper. When you compare Troy Franklin and Xavier Worthy, height, 6'3" versus 6'1", 187 pounds versus 172. I would say Troy is more at 180 than 187, but let's see. I think Xavier's 172 is more close to what is actually, true, if that makes sense. We'll find out at the combine, though. GPS data, 22.3 miles per hour compared to 22.7. These guys had the first and second highest tracked miles per hour of any wide receiver outside of Malachi Corley this year. And age at the NFL draft, they'll both be 21 years old. We expect these 2 guys to be in the 4.3s at the combine. These guys should be the speedsters. These guys should make your jaw drop. These guys should make, Rich Eisen go, oh my God, look at that time. If they don't, we could see some repercussions for their projected draft capital. But I think they will test really, really well. And I think both of these guys have a little Deshaun Jackson to their game. Now, Deshaun Jackson back in 2008 tested well. Now, he was only 5'9", 170 pounds coming out, so that hurt his overall grade. But he put up a 4.35 40-yard dash. His 20-yard split was a 2.53, a pretty good agility grade. Now, if you took those same numbers and you put Troy's size, what it's currently listed as, this is what RAS's database would have spit out for you, a 9.26. Now, again, I don't think Troy is actually 187 pounds. I think he's more 180. And who knows if he's actually 6'3". We'll find out this week. But I think Troy could have a very impressive combine. Both of these guys right now, when you look at their projected draft capital, are on the edge of a first round pick. They're kind of in that conversation, late first, early second round pick. I believe the combine could help both of these names solidify themselves as first round picks. All right, the 8th player that I think is a dog, Jaylen Wright. 5'11", 210, coming out as a junior, will be 21 in April. I am really struggling right now with Jaylen Wright because if you guys have been following this channel, you'll know he was one of my favorite sleepers all the way back in December. we're scouting this class and I'm thinking to myself, man, Jaylen Wright, this could be a sneaky sleeper in this class. But since then, in the month of February, I am seeing multiple sources and their credited sources saying that he is their RB1 in the class. So how could I call this guy a sleeper anymore? If people are out there claiming he's their RB1, there's no way I can call him a sleeper anymore, but I still like this player. And that's because he's got ridiculous combo of burst and speed. He's an electric home run hitter. It felt like one time per game when you were watching his film, he just broke out for a 50-yard touchdown because no one could catch the man. He was the fastest man on the field for those plays. He has a 52% breakaway percentage, which shows his explosiveness. That's 11th in college football. I would expect him to have an impressive 40-yard dash. However, I don't think his agility grade will be what others think it might be. I don't think he actually moves laterally, left to right as well as others do. I love this player. He was one of my favorite sleepers, but now people are saying RB1. And anyway, I think he's going to test well. I just don't think the agility will be there. One of my comps for him was Jerome Ford, a player that Badaki and I really liked coming out of Cincinnati. Didn't get good draft capital, but performed when he was given opportunities. Now, Jerome Ford had an impressive speed score at the combine, but he didn't have the best agility score. I think we could see something similar for Jaylen Wright. I'm hearing people say that he's a big back. I don't think he's 215. I think he's more like in that 200 to 210 range. So that could obviously impact his RAS score as well. But I think he could jump up to the third round from being a fourth round projection after the combine, because ultimately the NFL loves speed. And there's high expectations on Jaylen. A lot of people are saying he's going to have the highest 40 time. So the pressure's on. The pressure's on. All right, at number 9, the number 9 certified dog. Hey, you can no longer call me a Keon Coleman hater because he's on the list. He's on the certified dogs list. You can't call me a hater anymore. While I have been lower on him than consensus, I have always stated that I think he's a very good athlete, a fantastic athlete. He's got that big body, strong frame. He's got the good speed for his size. That's why Florida State had him returning kicks. He clocked in at 19.6 miles per hour, which, look, wouldn't be top 10 in the class, but is still impressive given his size. He has a basketball background, which I think could show up in his vertical and broad jump. I think he could put up some impressive numbers because he can jump with anyone in this class. My biggest comp for Keon has been Keon Coleman, is himself, has been Kenny Golladay, who tested really well in 2017. I think Keon could have a much better explosion grade than Kenny did, but don't be surprised if Keon's out here, in the mid-9s with his RAS grade. While I personally, don't have a first-round grade on him, I think this could solidify him as a first-round pick in the NFL draft. And the Keon, truthers will probably victory lap it. And why not? I mean, they should be able to do that. All right, the last player on my list, and I got some honorable mentions, is Marshon Lloyd. One of my favorite sleepers in the class, 5'9", 210 out of USC. He had the 4th best yards per attempt this year at 7.1. He was 3rd in breakaway percentage, and he had the 3rd best elusive rating according to PFF. He is a dynamic, explosive back. It would not surprise me if he is actually the fastest running back in this class at the combine. A ton of his yardage came from that breakaway, those breakaway plays. Again, 56.7% of his yards came from those explosive plays. I love his short area quickness and his agility. I believe he could be this year's Tajay Spears, that type of dynasty asset. And Tajay tested well. He got knocked because of his size, but he tested pretty well. His speed grade was great. His explosive grade was great. I could see Marshon Lloyd being a 3rd round pick, bumping up a full round after his combine performance. Now, I'm going to give you some honorable mentions, guys that should be on the list, but it might have been too obvious. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Drake May. I'd also add Ladd McConkey, Roman Wilson, Xavier Legette. But yeah, that's the list. Hey, it's going to be a fun week. I expect these guys to absolutely dominate. Let me know if you also expect the same. But as we end the video, I just want to let you know how you can support this channel. That's by becoming a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND on the Flock Fantasy website. Version 3 of our 2024 rookie report is going to be coming out after the combine in March. A whole new update, new profiles. We finally get to add their combine information into the profiles as well. We're very excited to release that. Check out the pinned comment if you like. Otherwise, leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll see you soon. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, L-A-N-D, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy. Even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.